Good afternoon. This is my final submission regarding my wicked problem of income inequality. I'll talk briefly about some of the concepts discussed throughout the course and bridge them appropriately with the topic and hopefully bring forth a better understanding of how to approach such a tremendously challenging issue. For brevity's sake, I'll only discuss a couple of principles, when in reality the list of principles that could be applied to this issue is quite substantial. So why is this a problem? Well, this is a problem that the majority of America encounters on a day-to-day basis. Some individuals can earn enough wealth to operate outside of the churn of the cost of goods exceeding the requisite income for an above average standard of living, while the incomes in the United States specifically have plateaued for more than 3 decades, even after accounting for inflation. So as we continue to increase our productivity, the corresponding wage earnings for the operators responsible for the output have not increased at a consistent rate. Consequently, the increase in the division of society due to income inequality has led to additional complications with health and social issues, to include mental health, domestic violence, drug abuse, overall crime rates, and even the equity of education. So to me, when we begin addressing this issue, it's paramount that the issue is addressed because of the recent current events regarding equality, because these issues are really gaining traction with regards to public policy. Inequality in general is such a broad issue, and focusing in on on income inequality specifically kind of narrows the focus just enough that policy change could potentially help to address the issue. It doesn't seem as though with growth in income should also come additional wealth disparity on the scale of a country, especially with a more advanced economy such as prevalent in the United States. So I'm going to begin by discussing this from a cost perspective that ultimately extends beyond a fixed or variable cost, and it addresses a societal cost or an economic cost of inequality. So I'll start there and circle back briefly. So first, income inequality increases crime, which adds negatively perceived costs to our society. And so as crime increases, so too do the things that have to pay for those crimes. Of course, some people may benefit. We have people that gain employment at detention centers, for example, that house these individuals that have committed certain crimes, and they provide for their families and buy goods and stimulate the economy because of this. Crime prevention is another example, and loss prevention as a deterrent has become its own industry that people find themselves working in and benefiting from that wouldn't exist if the prevalence of crime didn't exist and if crimes weren't being committed. And this has been shown through multiple studies that the increased gap in inequality can increase the crime rates. So by simplifying this in some of the accounting terms that may be seen throughout this course, for example, if a person decides to steal something, then they're really attempting to generate income or revenue. So when we incorporate the human element of choice, a person can theoretically invest time and resources into lawfully procuring these items, or conversely, they can invest in procuring them illegally. Of course, we can draw this connection to some of the current events centered around the campaign of defunding the police and police departments across the nation. So according to some economic theory, more police raises the probability of detecting and decreasing crime rates. But this really only works when the public is on the same page politically, which of course is not the case today and will likely never be the case. Moreover, more police adds a higher fixed cost and a higher variable cost to society, which as it stands are funded through the taxes of our citizens. So wealthier individuals with more tangible assets may favor police that focus on protecting personal and professional property, whereas the other end of the income inequality spectrum would want you to focus on protecting those in more disadvantaged areas. Therefore, it's really up to society and moreover our elected officials to ensure that our tax dollars and the cost that these tax dollars are dedicated towards are allocated the most effective way possible. Of course, the cost center or the responsibility center that is the government, or more specifically in this case, the police force, or the example that I've provided, has a huge burden to bear here, and that is not only to protect and serve the citizens within the society, but to do so in an efficient and a cost-effective manner. So we're getting into this module and have briefly discussed in some of the case studies here in Module 6, even about how activity-based accounting and transfer-based accounting, and of course not necessarily a revenue issue here, but a rate nonetheless. Certain departments with a higher rate of crime or issues being exacerbated by income inequality are going to attribute more funds to the department that can present a need for these funds. So perhaps with an increased focus on correcting this foundational issue of income inequality, these public funds could be redirected elsewhere and allocated to other programs. So as we can see, a wider gap between the citizens with regards to income can increase the challenges that are incurred on the government and trickle down into other segments of society. Decreasing the wage gap would assist mightily in limiting the economic and accounting burden on the citizens in society, those that are tasked with protecting us and the organizations as well. So again, this is going to require a movement with buy-in from all levels, both private sector as well as elected officials, in order to effectively address the issue and its corresponding symptoms. So thank you.